Hi and welcome to the show, and today is very much a Japanese inspired show. I've got a book to show you, I've got some saws to show you, we've got some wood and we've got some joints. Now I've done a lot of Japanese joints over the time on this channel. There's 3 of them there. Today I'm doing another joint similar to something I've done in the past but slightly different. I've made a start on it already and I'll show you how I got to this stage and then we'll complete it. Then we're going to move on, talk about some saws, Japanese saws. We're going to talk about some Japanese wood for the World in Wood series. And I'm also going to tell you about a book on Japanese joinery that I really like. So let's get started on that joint. Japanese joints, who doesn't love them? I've got loads on this channel that you can check out already, but today I'm going to make what I think is probably the best joint to get into if you're already doing Western woodworking and managing the normal simple Western joints. This is, and excuse the pronunciation, the Koshikaka Tsugi, which is a lapped gooseneck joint, often used for splicing timbers together. So I think this is the best one to get into because it's easy to visualize, and visualization's one of the most key things I think in making joints. If you can see what it's supposed to look like, you're unlikely to remove material that you didn't want to. There are only 2 pieces as well, makes it quite simple, but there are quite a number of facets on each of the joint pieces. So let's get started. Now I suggest you have a pencil to hand, a square, bevel gauge is nice but not absolutely necessary, marking gauge and a ruler or 2. In addition to the obvious cutting tools like a plane, chisel and a saw. And in fact, if you've got a rip saw and a cross-cut saw, that would be best. You can use Western saws, not a problem at all. If you've only got a universal saw, don't worry, that'll cope as well. And you're going to need a bit of wood. I'm just going to use this piece of pine. I'll square it up first, then I'll chop it through the middle. That'll give me my 2 components, and I'll cut the joint on those 2 ends so they go back together again. Now I'll start by marking out the gooseneck, and we'll do that on the face side. The length of the neck, the whole length, wants to be 1 1/4 times the width of the material. The proportions for the joint are all shown in the diagram. I won't go through all the marking out today, but be assured there will be a separate video covering everything. Well, that seems to be going quite well, and we'll catch up on that a little bit later. But first of all, I'm going to talk about Japanese saws. Now, there are a number of Japanese saws. I've covered the main ones in a separate video on that, which you can find elsewhere on the channel. I just want to talk to you today about what I think is probably the first saw you should try if you want to try some Japanese saws out, and that is the Ryoba. Now the Ryoba is an interesting saw. It's a carpenter's saw, general purpose. It has two blades on it, two edges on the blade. It's got a rip cut side and a cross cut side. There's no back on it, so it's flexible. And because there's no back, it means you can cut rather deeply with it. There's no end to how deep you could go with that saw. It does have a few disadvantages. If you're sawing a joint, obviously you get a little bit of marking on the sawn surface and perhaps on the edge of the sawn surface where you get a bit of tear out from the blade that's cutting, from the edge that's cutting. With this saw, if you go deep, then the other edge, the other line of teeth will go into the joint as well, and they'll also add to any marking on the sawn surface and can cause some extra tear out. So just something to bear in mind. Also, with no back, they do tend to want to go the easiest way through the wood. So you have to be a little bit careful with making sure you're following your line on both sides of the cut. What I tend to do is reverse the work around quite often. So I'll saw a little way down on one side, tracking the line on the one side, then turn my work around and saw the other side. Well, I think it's about time we got back to carrying on with that joint. So we're halfway through now, and as you can see, I've got the male part of the joint completed. And I did a similar joint a couple of years ago, a few years ago. It is also a lapped gooseneck joint. You can possibly see it on there. Using the same wood makes it quite difficult to see the joint line. You can also see the lap on the side. But what you'll notice with this one is that on the reverse face, it's totally straight. There's no tenon. Just continuing with the saws, when you get a Japanese saw, almost always you'll find it comes in a reasonably good plastic package like this. There's some information on there. Generally speaking, it's in Japanese, so that's a bit difficult for most of us. But you'll find some figures on there, and usually you'll find the length of the blade, and you'll find the pitch and the teeth per inch figures for the blade. And obviously on a Ryoba like this, you get two sets of figures. You'll also have a figure which is the thickness of the blade, which is generally speaking a little under the kerf that the saw is going to leave when you've made your cut. I really recommend you hold on to these sleeves and store your saws in here unless you've got them safely hung in a cabinet where they're not going to bang into other saws. Clearly all the measurements for the female part are taken from the male part. So with work progressing well on that joint, let's just think about where do I get these joints from? And there are a number of sources you can find online, a number of books you can get. But I'll tell you, the one I got most recently is this one here, The Complete Japanese Joinery, published by Hartley and Marks. I could definitely recommend this. It's a good read for a start, a lot about the tools and the woods and things like that. But mainly it's the joints, and it describes a number of the joints in quite a lot of detail, covering how to prepare them, and then it shows a lot of other joints with a lot less preparation information. So the joint I'm doing today is covered really well. It's one of their main examples. A book like this, if you're getting into Japanese joinery, you'll find a really interesting read. Talking of books, I've got out one of my good references for the World in Wood series. This is World Woods in Colour by William A. Lincoln, and it's open on the page for Sugi, and that's because I'm very blessed by viewers who send me samples of woods from around the world. And although it was quite some time ago, Murray, who's living over there at the moment, has sent me some samples of Tsugi. Here are 3 examples here, which I shall be doing the World of Woods video on very soon. So it's nice to be able to try at least 3 samples of a wood before I do one of my videos. And what I do with that, I'll do some rip cutting, cross cutting, I'll chop, so a mortise in there, bore a hole with a brace, and I'll do some planing and some pairing work. And that gives me a really good idea of how the wood works with hand tools, and so I can incorporate that in the videos. And the videos also cover things, more technical details, which is where references like this come in handy, and I'll find the various properties in there which I can list in the video. And there are currently around about 50 videos in that series. They really are for the wood nerd though. There's no real entertainment value in there, it's just a bit of information. Okay, let's get back to that joint. So I think I'm pretty much finished now. Trouble with this joint is, because it's got the slope which pulls it together tight, and because of how long it is, if I were to drive that home, it would just get tighter and tighter, and I'm not going to know whether it's going to be a good fit or not. And if I do get it together now, I won't be able to take it apart again. At least it's going to be very difficult. I'll probably have to bore a hole in the back here to be able to knock the top of the gooseneck out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it at that. I think it's probably pretty good. I think it'll go together. I'm going to stain one of these parts so it's easy to see, and then I'll drive it together. I'll start by just cleaning off the marking outlines with a few shavings. Right, that's made a start at trying out the Tsugi, and that video will be coming out a little bit later on. Well, I really hope you've enjoyed this little taste of Japan today, and subscribe and follow along, wait for the next video. Thanks folks, cheerio.